What's up? Welcome to the channel, brothers and sisters. My name is Colin. I live in the mountains of southern Oaxaca, Mexico, in this cabin that I built with my hands right here. Today, this video is going to be a little bit longer because I'm going to be covering quite a few different products. I'm not going to go into great detail on each specific product, but I just want to brush over what my solutions were to what I consider to be the 6 basics to be able to live off grid. So those 6 being shelter, transportation, water, food, cooking, bathroom, shower, and electricity. All right, so first off, I'm gonna cover shelter just because that was like my main concern. When I got here, obviously we needed to find the land first. I'm gonna make another video about the process of finding land. It was not as easy as you may think, especially out here where it's pretty remote. You can't just go online and find a realtor and work through them. It's all pretty much by word of mouth in Spanish. So that's something that, you know, I could also be able to help people in the future if they're interested, but that is a video for another day. Anyways, when I came here and we found our land, obviously the most basic would have been like a tent, a yurt, you know, even if you had like a camper or a van. There's so many different solutions, but because I was with Vanessa, we wanted something a little bit more comfortable with her being from the city, and we rented a house nearby and daily came here and brought materials down and started building. So as far as shelter, that was the main concern. And I had money restraints as well as time. I only had 3 months. I believe it was between July, August, September, and I had to be back to work in October. So I had to finish up this build in those 3 months after buying the land. So buying land, building, all that in that tiny time frame. So I did finish off the house right before we left, and what that entailed is, you know, there's no insulation, but, you know, I had windows, door, roof, everything sealed up, you know, dried in, so that I was able to leave all of the things that I did have inside when I left to work in the States again. So, okay, shelter covered. That was taken care of. So now, when I was in the States working, I had accumulated quite a few products that I had needed, you know, so when I came back down, that I'd be able to live comfortably. So essentially this second round is where I would actually be living on site here. I knew that I would be doing it by myself, so that meant that I could actually live a lot more, I don't know, lightly, frugally, without so many amenities. I grew up backpacking in the mountains of Colorado, so I was kind of accustomed and adapted to, you know, living out of a backpack and, you know, covering those basic needs with something so simple. So a lot of this was just kind of extrapolating or expanding on that and adapting it to what resources I had that I could bring from the United States and to what was available here in Mexico. So yes, that was really long-winded. At least we covered number 1. Now I'm gonna move this camera around. We're actually gonna look at some of those products. Number 2 is gonna be transportation. So let's transport on over to that topic. One thing I did not mention is that the cabin I built is 12 feet by 16 feet, as well as I spent around $5,000 or less for that. I didn't actually keep documentation or track of my expenses. I'm pretty bad about that, but I know it was at least under 5,000. Okay, number 2, transportation. So in the United States, I had a 2001 Nissan Pathfinder. It wasn't worth bringing it and importing it into Mexico. So what I did is I sold my Nissan Pathfinder, and, you know, at that point, everything that I owned was inside of the Pathfinder, as far as, you know, what was in the United States. So that actually made this whole transition so much easier. So sold the Pathfinder, everything that I could fit into my 2 carry-on, my 2 checked bags and my carry-on is what I brought down to Mexico. And in Mexico at that time, I had an apartment in Mexico City that I was renting, like right near the center, for about $400 a month. So luckily I did have, you know, like a mattress, cookware, utensils, you know, some things. I did take a loss having to sell a bunch of that to get out, but that's something else. Anyways, transportation. When I was in Mexico City at this point, I had to find a vehicle, and the main way I was looking was through Facebook Marketplace. I've always bought and used vehicles on like Craigslist, but here in Mexico, Craigslist is not very common. So I was on Facebook Marketplace. It took me about a month and a half of just constantly contacting people. We were running around to make the purchase. It all had to be in cash, so all in pesos. So imagine being in Mexico City, going to look at these vehicles from Facebook Marketplace, carrying all, you know, 100,000 pesos or more in cash. Right around 100,000 is the range I was looking for, which is 5,700 or 115,000 pesos at the time, $5,700. So what we did is when we were going to look at these cars, Vanessa's brother, Vanessa, me, we had another family friend, we would all stash money in different pockets and then go to these meetings, look at these cars. So high stress situation, high risk. Luckily nothing ever happened, but there's just so many lemons out there. I mean, constantly looking at these vehicles. You would take that buddy, the family friend was also a mechanic, and then I know a little bit as well, enough to be dangerous. So we would look at the vehicles, lots of lemons. So, to my surprise, I finally came across this 1998 Ford Ranger 4-cylinder. She's fantastic. It's a single owner, an older gentleman. He had owned it his whole life, had under 100,000 miles, manual transmission. So, you know, no bells, no whistles, hardly any electronics. It is just bare bones, and that is exactly what I wanted. So, you know, she runs great. I've driven back and forth to Mexico City more times than I want to admit. No problems. Really easy to work on as well. Parts are available and cheap. And I've done pretty much all of the work myself, which hasn't been a whole lot. It's been real affordable. Any YouTube videos, you can find what you need. I didn't see the point in buying something really nice and flashy, especially here in Mexico. You know, this is camouflage. You know, police aren't messing with me. I can drive through, you know, unsavory parts and not really get bothered or raise any red flags. No one's trying to break into there. You know, she's strictly a tool. So, 98 Ford Ranger, Verde, she's been fantastic. Number 3, pretty damn important, is water. So one of the things when I was looking for my property is I wanted to make sure that I had some pretty solid water access. So right now we haven't received any solid rain for, I don't know, it's been like 5 months because we do have a rainy season here and this is not it. But anyways, I still have plenty of water. This goes year round and this is fantastic. So when I got out here, all I had, you know, I'm skin and bones. Everything that fits in the truck in Verde is what I brought. So my original solution for water, 20-liter jug. And then I have this little jarra, I don't know, a pitcher. That's what it's called, a jarra in español. Pero entonces, what I would do is I would come down and I would just fill this. This allowed me to like reduce the amount of sediment that would get in the water. And then I would just fill my 20-liter jug just as so. I even like dug a little bit of a hole so that I had the room to get nice big scoops. It has filled with sediment over time. Obviously, if you look at one of my other videos, I have a much better solution, but this is what I was doing at the time. You know, living off grid, it's a process, and as long as you can maintain that vision of what your end goal is, it really doesn't matter. I'm no frills, you know, super simple, just enjoy the freedom. So this is what I did at the time. Things are improving. They're going to continue to improve. But it was this jug, and then I also have this like a military style, just duffel bag, some shoulder straps. I would throw this in along with like another 10-liter jug and then just hike up. It's about maybe 3 minutes to the house, so not so bad. Because I wasn't exactly sure of the quality of the water, I did buy in the United States on Facebook Marketplace, or was it Craigslist? I don't know, one of those. I did buy this Life Straw Flex, I don't know, filter bag. So the person, she only used it a couple times. She was trying to do van life and it just didn't work out for her. So she ended up having a lot of the products I need. I ended up getting like 3 different things off of her. So that worked out nicely. I ended up not using this as much as I thought I would. So I'm glad I didn't pay full price. Just the process of taking it out, breaking it down, and filtering was just really slow. Air would kind of get caught in this tube and it would just be down to like drips. And for the water I was using, it wasn't very sufficient, but at least I have it now for any future needs. It's something that I have on hand, so not a waste. What I did end up using is I would just bring, you know, drinking water down with me. I had some neighbors that have like well water that is really fresh, so I would just fill and bring water in from there just to drink, until I talked to some neighbors and, you know, found out where the source of this is, and it comes from a spring not that far off. And I traced, there's no contaminants or anything. I drank straight from the creek. I had some desperate times and got pretty comfortable with that. Now I have a whole different filter. That's something for another day, and it works great. So, water. This is what I was doing when I originally got here for water. Cool. Number 4. This one's going to be a quick one, but it's going to be food and cooking. Pretty important. What I did is when I was in Mexico City, I want to say just Walmart or some general store like that, I bought this propane gas 5-top burner. I don't even know what brand it is. Supra. I don't know. It was around $100. So this will probably stay here for a very long time. So I had this, and I had bought just a plastic like collapsible table that was 8 feet long. So this whole kitchen area used to just be a collapsible table with my 5-top burner. I use 20-liter propane tanks. I have it outside the house, just attached to one of my cement columns, and I have a tube running through the corner that connects to my gas burner. So for a 20-liter tank, it costs me 400 pesos, about $24, to refill, and that lasts me 4 months, give or take, depending on usage, obviously. Aside from just cooking, I also use this for heating water for showers. For instance, I took a shower today, and this is my little shower pot. I throw this on, put it on the burner, heat it up, and, you know, mix it with some cool water to bathe. So, I mean, this has been great, and I'll probably be using it for a long time. Nice, simple solution. Pretty cheap, but it works. So, there you have it, cooking. All right, number 5 is gonna be my bathroom and shower setup. So what I have right here is the Kelty Discovery H2 Go. So I bought this in the United States from REI for $120. And this has basically just been my temporary outhouse. It's worked very well. Obviously you can open up the floor here for a drain, so you can take your showers and water just gets on out of there. Just gets on gets. And then I've got this tarp that rolls out. It's retractable. I use that when I have it in bathroom mode. There's also a little window here. There's pockets everywhere. I keep my body washes and things up here. Some extra TP, baby wipes. You know what? You can keep everything in here. Works out pretty well. There's a little window. And then when you're done showering, like you saw, you can open just the top here, reach around and get yourself a towel, dry off so that wind doesn't hit you and freeze you out. So, Kelty Discovery H2 Go. It's been working out really well so far. I mean, this did the trick, so I had a solution right when I got here. As far as showering from Van Life Girl, I got another product, Nemo. I've used their products before, mainly like sleeping pads and bags, and I really like it. This product is the Elio XL pressure shower. I think normally it retails for about $120. I think I got it for $90. Honestly, I haven't used it a whole lot. I did a couple times, but what I found is like this foot pump, it requires a lot of pumping, especially with the XL. that wasn't necessary. I was only using not even half. And in order to maintain pressure sufficient to shower, I was constantly having to pump. So it was a pretty involved task. So what I ended up doing is I ended up showering outside below my front porch area. So I could set this on the front porch and then stand in the sun, and then, you know, gravity along with pressure to shower. And it was a lot more work than it was worth, honestly. So I haven't used it a whole lot, but I have it, and at least I didn't pay full price. So I'm happy with that. Maybe I'll use it in the future, or someone else will. Who knows? So what I do for showering now, like you saw with my 5-top burner, is I heat water, and I just mix it in this 5-gallon bucket. And I use this little guy just to pour it on myself. Boop, 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 boop. And that works just fine for me. As far as doing the business, when I was out here just by myself, as far as urinating, I would just go in the woods, wherever, or usually off my front porch, you know, enjoy the view, and just, that was usually how that would play out. And as far as numero dos, I would go inside of a bucket. Not this bucket that I use for showering, obviously, but I would use a bucket, and I bought this toilet seat lid that snaps onto any 5-gallon bucket, just like so. And then I would use acetylene or sawdust, and I would put like a little bit of sawdust in the bottom of this, and then every time I'd go, I just have a cup and I just pour more sawdust on top. And once it was full, I would just dump this out in my composting area, separate from food compost, of course. So that worked out pretty well. But as soon as my wife came out to live with me here, we switched over to using the Nature's Head composting toilet, because that does separate the urine from the feces, and that prevents it from like smelling really bad. So that's what we use now, and we'll probably use for a long time moving forward. The sawdust, everyone around here is a carpenter, a sawyer of some sort, so I get all this sawdust for free. I just take this little bag and fill it up whenever I need. Yeah, bathroom, shower, that's what I did. Cool, let's move on to our last topic. Number 6, and final topic, is electricity. So what I had originally had, I guess, you know, even before solar and this battery here, which I'll get into in a second, was this generator I bought actually here nearby in town for about $300 US. It's 2,500 watts. It has a startup power of 2,800, because there's always a higher wattage just to start whatever you're using. I bought this to power all of my corded tools that I use to build the cabin. So this I still use all the time, and it works great. As far as in-house power, you know, I don't want to have to listen to this generator all the time, and it burns up a lot of gas. So while I was in the United States working, there was a Black Friday sale, and I had bought this Blue Eddy EB55 iron phosphate battery. Iron phosphate, I believe. Basically that means that it just gets a lot more cycles. Like, I think it's up to 2,500 cycles of running down and recharging before it only drops to like 85% capacity. So I've actually been pretty happy with this. Obviously, for the size, it doesn't suit all of my needs, but for the time, all I was using it for was, you know, charging, laptop, phone, and then I had some lighting. As far as lighting, I bought at REI some little LED strips that were USB that I would just plug in. So I had one for upstairs and one for downstairs that were just really low draw. Lighting was really dim, but along with like headlamps, and I also have a little lantern and phone, you know, whatever lighting, maybe some candles if I'm feeling romantic, depends. But this guy works pretty well. It was a package deal for around $500. I got the battery and the 120 watt solar panel as a kit. And Black Friday, since it was so hectic, I think they accidentally sent me an extra panel. I haven't actually got a lot of use out of it. I tried to connect them in parallel, and I think it's just too much for this. But you can charge it with AC or the panel. So I would actually, on like really cloudy days, I would run my generator to charge the battery. And I was, you know, maybe having to do that once a week, but I was having to be real mindful of my usage. There was definitely a few times that I'd burn up the battery, it'd be at night, and I'd have no more string light LEDs, but, you know, I survived. Now I have, you know, some permanent solar panels, battery, that whole system. So this I still use in the house with my string lights just because I like the ambiance, and, you know, more is better than less. Sometimes I'll even charge it using my batteries and solar. I don't know, it's just always nice to have more options. But this will probably end up living in the tree house. Once I build the tree house, this will be the power source until that maybe eventually gets a permanent system. So there you have it. Number 6, electricity. All right, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you've made it this far, I'm surprised. I know I could have made that 6 different videos, but I just got so excited. I just wanted to put it all into one. So I did. Basically, I just wanted this to go and show that you don't need a ton of money to get into this. For me personally, I was scouring YouTube looking for inspiration, motivation in the off-grid community, and I found it pretty disheartening that, you know, everyone somehow seemed to come across this massive chunk of change where they're like using heavy machinery to blaze roads into their properties. They got construction crews, these huge solar arrays. I mean, that just wasn't a reality for me, you know, average Joe, 30-year-old male. So I just want this to be an inspiration to show, you know, you can start at whatever level. And obviously this is just what I did. There's so much more simpler or extravagant. There's a whole end of the spectrum, but this worked for me. And, you know, it's been a nice entry point, and now as time moves on, I can just keep growing and adding to it. But the nice thing is it's all mine, you know, and that means a lot to me and allows me a lot of freedom. So thanks for tuning in. If you found this valuable or you enjoyed it, you want to help me out, share it with somebody, give me a like, a comment, and yeah, that would really mean a lot to me. So thanks a lot. Hope you have a great day. Bye.